Sarawak is making significant strides in its rapidly growing economy.
That happens now. We see the impact, we see the benefit now. But you see what happened with places like Samalaju, bringing a lot numbers of investment coming in from South Korea, from China, from Japan, from the European side also.
Blessed with rich natural resources, strategic location on the South China Sea, and good government initiatives, Sarawak is setting the stage for even greater growth. To learn more from economic experts on Sarawak's bright future, tune in to Decimal Point. The premiere of Sarawak's 2025 state budget is set to fuel even more economic growth, with an increase in both operating and development expenditure rising from 13.6 billion ringgit in 2024 to 15.8 billion ringgit in 2025.
Looking ahead, approximately 100 billion ringgit will be injected into Sarawak's economy over the next 5 years.
Today, we delve into the economic landscape of Sarawak and uncover how the state is positioning itself as a powerhouse in the region. Thank you once more again, Prof, as well on bringing us a journey of Sarawak's economic landscape. You know, today we're going to talk about its growth, challenges and opportunity. And of course, someone from the Faculty of Economics and Business, you're no stranger in the economic landscape of Sarawak, Borneo in general. As we know, Sarawak is known for its vast land resources, natural resources, big biodiversity area. And one thing in particular that we know is the oil and gas industry in Sarawak becoming a main contributor to the nation's economic growth as well. Staggering, I think, up to date, 2024, Sarawak has received a total, I think, 96 billion ringgit in this particular industry itself. So, Prof, maybe from your expertise, what role does the oil and gas industry in Sarawak compared to other sectors in its economic growth?
Basically, as we all know, that Sarawak is blessed with natural resources, right? Plays a very crucial role in generating state revenue and, of course, driving economic growth. Not just if our focus into oil and gas. Of course, oil and gas have contributed a lot, not just in terms of the money, but in terms of employment, in terms of bringing in the attraction of the foreign direct investment into the investment coming in too. That's how oil and gas sector in Sarawak has played very significant roles in terms of modernizing the economy as a whole itself. But other than that, while saying that, also other natural resources that we have here in Sarawak, example will be like in agricultural sector. This is very, very important also as part of the number 4 contributor in terms of the GDP contributor for Sarawak itself. How this plays a role, because when we look into agriculture, most of the time we will think about this is mainly into the rural side of it, but not only that. That's for the conventional thinking, but looking into agriculture, how agricultural sector also bring forward the rural development into that sense. So I think based on that, our focus is, of course, oil and gas is bringing up, and also the other natural resources that we have, that we bless into. We use that as our competitive advantage, and we engage into necessary players, stakeholders, and of course technology put into that to ensure that this growth is sustainable.
Sarawak is known for its pepper, its gula apong, its palm oil, and also not only that, its timber and forestry. Now, circling down into these sectors, Prof, maybe you could also share with us, in these sectors particularly, what are the growth and trends you could see over the years contributing to the economic landscape?
If we focus to certain particular products or maybe the key areas will be like agricultural sector, the focus mostly on palm oil. We have huge plantation here that contributed not just for the employment but also for the local community, for the local economy, that side, and then the other one will be on pepper. Pepper have been quite, I would say that Sarawak have the best white pepper and black pepper kind of seedings, and of course it has been consumed not just for Sarawak, it's been exported through all over the world. So those of you who have not tried Sarawak pepper should try it. Right, so coming back to that is that we have that advantage. Of course, we have the upper hand of this advantage. We have the palm oil plantation where we have here, we're bringing in, numbers of employment, also the local economy. Same thing goes to the pepper, same thing goes to other agricultural products. Of course, timber is one of the major contribution towards the state income, which is perhaps can be used, not just the timber also been exported out and also been used for the furniture sectors here in Sarawak, and of course outside is exported outside. So the quality of the timber that we have here is also very high comparatively with the rest that we have here. So these are the few, I think, important particular sector other than oil and gas which have been contributed back to Sarawak income.
There's one interesting mention that with the Premier of Sarawak, the Deputy Tan Sri, Abang Johari Donopeng, mentioning that Sarawak is going to be a regional player in the rice production, and of course in its target on the rice or paddy cultivation. Now, what's your take on that, Prof?
Yeah, this is rather, and it's of course achievable in the sense that, again, as I mentioned just now earlier, we have abundant huge area, and then to explore, there's a lot of land that yet to be explored. That's part of it. Is a good take for one of it. And second part is that the capacity of the agricultural sector has been increased throughout the year in terms of productivity and so on. And to bringing in the technology, bringing in the scientists to know about and to produce such a thing is possible to be done. I think in Sarawak itself, as I know, they have targeted few areas to become, for this cultivation of paddy, which is good because our target, Sarawak target, not just Sarawak target, it's actually the national target is to become self-sufficient. How we can feed our own people, how we can, rather than we always import the rice, then we produce it locally and sell it locally also for the consumption of the people here, not just in Sarawak, but particularly in Malaysia. And that's good because with the technology that we have, with the capacity that we have, with the machine and other things that supported along the way, this is a good move.
Yeah, that's right. And you pointed out to be self-sufficient is a main important vision, vitality for one nation to move and progress forward. Now, moving forward as well, Prof. Now, on the hydropower industry that we have, circling towards that industry in Sarawak, we do know that since January 2016, Sarawak Energy has been projecting 190 megawatts, particularly to Indonesia, and this covers the neighboring regions as well. Centering Sarawak as particularly hydropower in attracting foreign investments over the years span of over decades, I think, with the dams that we have here, hydro dams. The investment and the contribution to the Sarawak economic growth, the trend over the years, Prof. What do you think about that?
When a lot of investors outside from ASEAN countries are looking into which part of the world that can generate the kind of sustainable energy. So Sarawak is one of the major players in that sense, where we have, again, abundant natural resources. So we use what we have of our advantage, and that will attract more investment coming in. More industry will come in, where the industry will say that, you have an energy supply, and then we will put up our infrastructure there, we will put up our industry there. Most importantly, you have the energy, the supply there, and then you can bring in industry coming in, and investment will come in. in. So this is how we place our competitive advantage in that sense over the other parts, maybe in ASEAN. And then one of the aspiration, of course, is to ensure that Sarawak can become one of the ASEAN major energy hub, or producing the energy enough, not just for the consumption here in Sarawak, not just for Malaysia, but also exported, like already happening for Indonesia and Brunei, and of course to the far extent later on will be the ASEAN itself. Then that's the aspiration. How should we build it? Where should we build it? With all the capacity, with all the technology that we have, that it will be possible. That's the trend I'm seeing right now. We are on the right track, and towards that direction, with all the necessary planning, strategic planning, this is where we going into.
Now, apart from that, the key manufacturing industries that we have in Sarawak, Prof. I mean, how does, as we know from the start, the Sarawak Corridor of Renewable Energy, or SCORE, undermines a very important development and initiative to drive industrial development. In terms of industrial development, Prof, what is your take on SCORE revamping this?
You see, SCORE itself built on the initiative of Sarawak Corridor Renewable Energy. The word is renewable energy. That happens in 2008, and one part of the major industrial growth. At that time, of course, the target is towards the center of Sarawak, in the middle part of Sarawak, excluding Miri in the north and southern you have Kuching. So we want to ensure that the middle part of Sarawak, the aspiration at that time was to ensure that the middle part of Sarawak also grow as rapid as possible with the northern and the southern. That happens now. We see the impact now. We see the benefit now, not just in terms of industrial development, but you see what happened in places like Samalaju, right, which have grown rapidly, and they're bringing a lot numbers of investment coming in from South Korea, from China, from Japan, they're coming in, and from the European side also do come in, invest inside there. And with that, proving that the industrial development growth can become possible when you target an area. So the target was at the middle part of Sarawak, because that's where the capacity, that's where the natural resources mostly are. That's one in Bintulu, to build the huge manufacturing industry site.
Yes.
Right, and then the other part of it, place like Kapit, quite rural in that sense. Here in Sarawak, they're no longer rural, I would say that, in terms of capacity. That area bringing a lot of this hydropower, the generation of hydropower, and that also bringing in people to go inside there and related towards that. And then we go a little bit, southern side. Then we can see a growth area like in Mukah area, which is focusing, I think, mostly on digital technology and related. And then we move into Sarikea and Halal Hub. So we have all this growth area that we already targeted since 2008. Now we see the fruition. Now we see the fruits is there. And to continue on with what the legacy have been put forward by the previous chief minister then, and that continue on with our the sustainable strategic plan that we have for Sarawak. So that's moving forward. And with that starting point, that's where Sarawak start to industrialize ourselves, to industrialize Sarawak itself, to ensure that we become one of the major players. We need to find a more strategic way how we can develop one place. We cannot use a model that been normally used perhaps in West Malaysia. We should use our own model, that how we can develop one place, for example Kuching, for example Kota Samarahan, how we want to develop Kapit, how we want to develop Limbang.
An economy thrives on strategic vision and the leadership of a proactive, stable government. In a vast region like Sarawak, with a population of just 3 million, its key challenges is shifting its reliance from natural resources to a more diversified economic model. digitalization is a vital key component of the growth of a nation. Now, as we know, Sarawak is keen on digital initiatives and also embarking on the Sarawak Digital Economy Transformation 2030 or PCDS 2030. So with all these initiatives alike, what is your take on this towards the growth of a nation or the region, Sarawak in particular?
So on the digital transformation or digitalization journey, it's a pretty interesting, not just the journey itself, but also an interesting facts that we're talking about, not just for Sarawak, not just for Malaysia in particular, but this has been around as what we call as disruption, technological disruption. Part of it is digitalization. It happens before COVID, and of course on the COVID time is becoming more and more investment towards digitalization. At the same time, Sarawak do not want to left. We want to be part of it, of this journey also. And best of all, the Sarawak government have invested quite an amount of money, investment into the infrastructure especially. We need the infra, and of course at the same time, while you already have the infra, that's where you enhance it as part of the new economy and income generation revenue for Sarawak itself. And on that part, of course, is bring forward. It was expected in the near future that it could bring forward more portion of the GDP rather than relying on oil and gas only. So digitalization, digital products itself can be bring forward more than 15% of GDP for Sarawak itself, and of course for the country itself. And this is important. Again, and coming back to what we have, we've invested in that since 2016, 2017, and we also have a blueprint that talks about that and the target area for not just providing internet connectivity in Sarawak itself, but beyond that connectivity itself, we can do enhance on the economy, enhance on the business, employment, bringing up the people coming in here to invest, and of course will promote for the local community. So for example, for one simple example, how we're going to promote a product that is very localized, that people do not know part of the world. So with this technology, with this infrastructure, with this platform, you can do that. You can do that right now to promote, for example, the sago. Sago is already there, but we have to go further. Maybe tabaloi or some of the local products that do not have and unique in a way that people outside who want to see this product. And this is a good chance, and this is what the government have been doing for the past numbers of years.
All right, Prof. Just now, I think earlier you mentioned a lot of notable products that we have here, tabaloi, sago. We're getting hungry about that, huh? And as well, Sarawak is well known for a lot of its local food products. Now, this also links back to its regional tourism. Now, as we know, tourism, I think, contributes 5 to 6% of GDP on the state. Now, but among all these trends and all these global trends going, what can Sarawak do better?
The answer is, of course, because we have what we have here, the local product, heritage product, and which we can promote further through, again, the initiative that we talk about digitalization, how people know our product from the other side of the world, perhaps from the US or the European side. They want to come here, tourists want to come here for what? For the nature, for the adventure, perhaps for the rainforests, and for the people, for the people interaction that we have. And of course, as everyone knows that we have been awarded as part of the UNESCO heritage place here in Kuching with gastronomy, means that is food. So we're famous because of that would bring in more tourists, international tourists that come in here.
That's why. And the experience in gastronomy, food is always a close linkage to most people, or why they're attracted to come to Sarawak, and for the locals as well, I'm pretty sure. Now, but despite all this, Prof, Sarawak also faces one challenge, which is the rural-urban disparity, certain environmental challenges and the need of skilled labor. So what do you think the state government can play in the role to improve it over the years?
This one, when we talk about the divide between rural and urban area, it's quite common. It's quite common, not just happening here in Sarawak, but with our geographical area, huge abundance of land that they mentioned just now earlier on, is that so we need to find a more strategic way how we can develop one place itself. We could not use a model that been normally used perhaps in West Malaysia. We should use our own model that how we can develop one place. For example, Kuching. For example, Kota Semarahan. How we want to build. How we want to develop Kapit, for example. How we want to develop Limbang. What we have there. What we can develop and so on. So the connectivity, bringing in people. That one is very important from the rural to the urban areas. So for example, having a bridge is very important. Having a highway is very, very important to connect people, to ensure that not just the rural area people come into urban, but the other way around, where the urban area can go to that place, so-called rural area, and have that kind of chances to have perhaps the local delicacy, for example, food and other related products of tourism that we can offer there. This is for local industry, it's for local, manufacturing and so on that we can promote it. So at the same time, this is where we can, this will ensure that the disparity has been reduced, the inequality been reduced in that particular sense. And other than that, of course, Sarawak government have done a lot in terms of ensuring bridging, building the bridge, building the infrastructure to ensure this happens, to ensure that we have this connectivity. They're still happening and will happen more investment, more things to see in terms of development at the same time. And at the same time, we should not forget the environmental. Inside the PCDS, if we look into that, we're not thriving in terms of economic development and growth, but also at the same time, sustainable, ensure that sustainable development, ensure that these development are following the rule, and all this investment coming in are pretty much green or blue, promoting this under this. It's not just on the paper, but to do that also in reality on the ground, that involve not just the government initiative, but also the people who live here in Sarawak, the investor that coming in, all have to play a very significant role to ensure that this happens.
Okay, Prof. Now you mentioned about connectivity, the disparity, and definitely there is a connectivity, being in place for the people. But how about the locals, the people, the public? How can they benefit or take the greater advantage of these which is being provided to them?
This is where, like I mentioned just now, this is where everyone should take the chance, should take the opportunity, not just the chance, the opportunity to look into what we have offer on the ground. Of course, at the same time, to understand that part of it. What's that? What does the road means? Perhaps it's open up more of this opportunity for the SMEs, for example, the local businesses, how they can embark further, as we mentioned just now, on digitalization. So they have this product, but they don't know what to do. So that's where come into picture of skill and upskilling itself, or reskilling even for the people that already have certain amount or certain threshold of education inside there. It's from time to time we should upskill ourselves. From time to time, things should be gone further to ensure that we are always prepared with the kind of changes they have. So without the connectivity, perhaps 2 decades ago, this will not happen. But right now, it's already there. It's just to take this opportunity. One. The second one is that whether they know it or not. So how to enhance that? So the relevant agencies, which already done a good job, they should go down further to ensure that people get involved. So go to the schools, perhaps, and so on, to promote. We have this, we have that, we have this kind of program, that kind of program to on the education side and so on. And the third one that I want to mention is, of course, the role placed by the higher institution here in Sarawak. For example, like UNIMAS itself, on how UNIMAS can play a greater role to train people in this kind of skill that needed. This one, and of course, all the Sarawak higher education institution that also embark in this direction, where we provide the kind of necessary skill, short courses perhaps that is needed for these people to upskilling themselves, including myself. From time to time, I need to upskill myself. I always tell myself, before I can teach, before I can share my experience in the class, I should know that thing too. And in a way, upskilling, reskilling, or should be part of our our daily lives in this era.
That's true, Prof. You're creating an example from what you do best and incorporating it down. Now, another part also lastly, finally, Prof. I mean, the Sarawak government, as we know, is also playing a crucial role in the economic planning and policies, implementing policies in Sarawak. So, in your opinion, how far better, or what is your take on the Sarawak government in effective planning and key policies for the economy of the region?
Of course, this part is very important when you talk about the macro planning. The plan is there, the blueprint is there. Now is the time, of course, is to walk the talk. The implementation, of course, and monitoring is very important, crucial in any planning. We have the plan, the perfect plan there, and now the implementation, of course, and the monitoring to see which we're lacking and what we need to do strategically. Moving forward, that's what I think the government, which plays a vital role here, need to see on that. The implementation is there, and how effective if all this investment, whether they really provide a return that positively impact and spill over towards the people, not just here in Sarawak, but of course overall in the country, and spill over hopefully to the whole Borneo and beyond that. That's what we're looking for, and with that kind of thing, we have more attractive for the people to come to invest. What we need to do further, as always been mentioned by Premier, is that we should be prepared. We prepare ourselves, make sure we are valuable first. We have the competitive advantage, and then only we tell the world, this is what we have, we can offer. We supply such a product or services, and then people will come and demand for whichever products that we're going to have. We as a society as a whole should get involved so that this program or these ideas or this aspiration is not just for one person, it's not just for the government, but it's for the people of Sarawak itself.
What's even more exciting for Sarawak's revenue in 2025 is that it's projected to hit a record high of 14.2 billion ringgit. With favorable domestic economic condition and global trade, Sarawak is poised to have even greater economic growth of between 5 and 6%. See you next time as we continue to follow Sarawak's economic transformation journey on Decimal Point.